Hey everyone, you're listening to the Fierce Feminine podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Harrison from melissacatherineharrison.com. In the near decade I've been coaching powerful women, I found one of the biggest problems we face is not trusting our intuition and acting on it enough, not trusting ourselves enough. More fulfillment, more enjoyment, and more success always follow when we trust the intuitive nudges. So what stops us, and how can we tune in more? On this show, I sit down with incredible women to discuss their take on this, examples of them following the nudges, and the strategies they take so we can all do the same and rise together. I'm so glad you're joining us. Welcome back to the Fierce Feminine podcast. Today's guest is LeiLani Kopp. LeiLani, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks. I love being here. It's great.
Good, so good. So would you mind starting us off with sharing a little bit about your personal background, maybe family of origin, and then you can share maybe some hobbies and what you do in the world.
Yeah, for sure. So, my name is LeiLani, and I am self-employed. I'm an entrepreneur. I own LeiLani Plant Powered Beauty. It's a complexion product that's all natural, gluten, vegan, infused with skincare and sustainable. So, trying to make my mark in life here. But my background is Italian. So there was too many Marias, as my mom always said. So that's why I ended up with a name that was Hawaiian, LeiLani. But yeah, so not much to say.
So your business fascinates me. If you could share a little bit about, like when we initially talked, you told me the story of how it became what it is today. And I would love for you to share that with our listeners.
Yeah, for sure. So my background's in film and TV. I do makeup and hair and have been around for a very long time, 35 years in the industry. But I'm one of few that specialize in paramedical corrective makeup. So I work with the burn and trauma unit. I work with cancer doctors, dermatologists, and that's how the brand evolved from all my pro bono work. I started volunteering out of a bedroom styling wigs for cancer patients, and they needed help with makeup, and I had kit loads of makeup, but I wasn't cutting it. It was full of junk. It was full of chemicals. It was full of fragrances and preservatives. And I thought, there's got to be something better out here. And there wasn't. So I always say my first two mistakes were, how hard could it be to create a product, and how hard could it be to take it to market? Well, it turns out it was very hard and still is hard, but I am alive in the market today because I was a little ahead of the curve in what plant-based, natural, non-toxic, vegan, cruelty-free, sustainable would mean for the everyday woman today. So we distribute in drug and grocery and health food stores across Canada and pockets of the US.
Amazing. I love that so much. So, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you've had times when you've had to rely on your intuition when things didn't make rational sense and you had to just go with what your gut was saying. Would you mind sharing some of those times with us?
Yeah, wow. There's lots. There's lots. I think for me, a lot of times it's in business, just because my business is so much a part of my personal life. But it's that little tug that you feel, that little nudge, and it just keeps nudging. And then there's little red flags. And that's when you know that something's not right, or is not meant to be, or you need to change course. And I found that even sometimes when, you've done all your homework, you've brought someone on board to be part of the team, and you're all excited, and little things start happening. Nothing that you can pinpoint, nothing that you could say to someone, this isn't working out, but just little things that creep up in maybe a conversation or in their work or something they didn't get. And usually it's like, okay, this isn't working, like this, it's time to do something about it. So there's that instance. Another big one was that prior to COVID, I had my own warehouse. So I was running a staff. We were distributing out of my warehouse. And it started becoming a shipping company. I didn't have time to work on the business. I was managing staff. I was managing a shipping company. And there was something tugging at me that said, you need to just close this down. You need to move to a logistical center. And I just kept fighting it because it was like, oh my God, I can't move. I can't close all this down. I can't even begin to think what that looks like, how I would even begin. But then there were little things that kept going wrong or coming up, like problems or obstacles. And those were the nudge that was saying, somebody's telling you it's time to make the move. So I did, and it was just prior to COVID. And I always say, thank you, my angels, because it saved me. I don't know what I would have done. I think I might have even have lost the company at that point, because it was just also devastating. But luckily, those little nudges was somebody saying, hello, do something.
Oh, and I love that you said it's not something you can pinpoint necessarily at first when you get that inkling. And it's not until and this seems to be common, it's we get those nudges and we don't necessarily listen until those red flags or blocks to something pop up and cause us to like pay more attention.
Yeah.
I find that so interesting, don't you? That like we know we're hearing it, we're feeling it, but we're not listening.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? Have there been times when you followed a nudge even though you didn't have some other block or red flag come up?
Yes, because I think then what happens is it's a reoccurring thought. You're thinking it constantly. You go to bed thinking about it. You wake up thinking about it. You're constantly thinking about it. So really, that's still a nudge in a way. And yeah, then it becomes a problem. So you have to act on it. It's kind of like, my mom always said, shit or get off the pot.
Yes.
It becomes one of those times.
It sure does. Yes. And I've found, and a lot of women that I'm chatting with find that intuition will not be quiet
No,
until you listen.
no.
And I think it's either more consistent thoughts, right? Or varied thoughts about the same thing, or like you said, the lovely red flags or, issues that come up. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So where do you tend to feel intuition in your body?
Sometimes it's that little panic of anxiety.
Mm.
Not that I have panic attacks or have anxiety, but it's almost like that ping where you've missed a beat of breath. It's like that. And then it's just constantly in your head. That's what it does for me. That's what it does. And for me, then I say it's a gut feeling, but it might not necessarily be in my gut. It's more like just a miss of a heartbeat or something.
Right. Yeah. No, I love that. That's so interesting. And it seems to me that you tend to follow your intuition on a pretty regular basis. Have you personally experienced any barriers to following your intuition? Has there ever been a time when you felt like I just can't listen to this right now?
No, I think because you know, I'm at I've been around for a while, I've I've I'm at that age where I really truly understand what those nudges are and what intuition is and when you need to respond to it. And when you don't. And if you don't, then it means maybe it's just changing something. It doesn't mean that it's a radical, change of what you're doing. But I I usually follow through, and if I don't, what scares me is money. It's again, it's mostly business. It comes down to well, how I can't do that. I know I need to do it, but I don't have the money, or it's too much of an obstacle because of the money. Whereas now I'm like, okay, well, then I need to find the money, or I need to switch something up, or find an alternative, or but follow through. Just follow through, make a move. And the end result might be different, but you just got to make that move. Just one step, two steps. And all of a sudden, for me, I feel that the universe lines everything up after that. But if you don't make that first move, nothing changes, right? Stays the same, they say. So just that one step past thinking about it, just do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then it unfolds. It just unfolds.
It absolutely does. And I think intuition, those nudges, it always gives you an idea of the direction to go in. Like you're never stuck. There's
Yeah.
always an avenue. I think a lot of times when we get caught in fear, it's like, well, what do I do next? But that it's always there. There's always a guidance that's
There
there.
is, but the fear stops it. It blocks you. So it's like you just need to sit down. What I like to do is sit down and be like, okay, what are the pros? What are the cons? What are 3 steps that I can just take to make a move? And even that, just nudging myself, it just then it just rolls. Things come and things happen, and you get direction, and the thoughts start landing here, and yeah, and then you can move.
Yes, the inspiration will kick in. Yes, I love that. So, I mean, you are so successful and you're doing such great work in the world. I'm wondering if you have any insight as to why women might find that they're blocked from following their intuition. Like in general, what do you think it is for women that have a hard time trusting themselves?
Um, I think sometimes life is so busy, things are so rushed. Like I said, I'm at a stage in my life now where I have more calm. I'm not running the kids around and, making dinners and lunches and PTA meetings. And so I don't think a lot of women are in tune with their intuition. They miss the red flags because they're just too busy. They're not, they're not centered. They're not taking enough time for themselves to really hear what their mind and body says to them. I think it's as simple as that. They're just too busy. Even if you just took a few moments and just wrote down where you want to be, what you want to do, what you want from life, it's interesting how the puzzle pieces just start coming together, and you start really being in tune and listening, and you start seeing signs of stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother topic,
Well,
but
it's important though, and it really does tie into this. And I love what you said, and it's so true. But I think you have to be really honest with what it is that you want. I think a lot of times when women go through that exercise of, writing down what they want, it's still very much in line with what they think they should want, as
Mhm.
opposed to what they really want.
Yeah.
And I heard this saying, God can't bless who you're pretending to be, right? Like, in order
Mhm.
to hear the signs or see the signs and hear, the nudges, I think
Wow.
you really have to be true to who you are, you know?
Yeah, and I think too, they think, well, I can't possibly do that. I've got 3 kids. I'm running all over the place. I don't, my husband's working 14-hour days. We have 1 car. How would I ever go to school? How would I ever do? And right there, you've stopped yourself. You instantly stopped yourself.
Yes.
So, I get all of that with business. There's stuff. So I just like I say, I sit down and I just write a few steps of what would it take to get there. Never mind, forget everything else. Forget that, you don't have a car, or you don't have the money, or you don't have the time, or whatever. What would be 3 things that would get you to that goal, that's that intuition that tells you is your passion and what you want in life and what you want to do? Um, it keeps coming down to just make a move, one little move. That's
Yes.
it. And you'd be blown away by what can happen when you just take that first step.
Absolutely. And you're right too, that I like to think of it as like the how is not my job. Yes,
Mm,
I will take the action, but I don't need to figure it all out. I can't possibly know what the full map is going to be anyway. So you
no,
just have to, yep,
no,
take that step.
yeah. Just what is it you want today? Just, yeah, yeah.
Well, this has been amazing. Is there any other advice that you have to share with women about how they can feel fulfilled and be successful?
Um, I think just really taking the time to write down what you want, because all of a sudden the kids are grown, they're out of the house, and you look at each other if you're married, and you're like, okay, well, wow, now what?
Yeah.
So, always stay in tune with your partner, always make time for dates and, you know, fun stuff so that you're still connected when those kids grow up, and start making a game plan now of what your next move is once the kids do grow up. What is it that mom wants to do now? Start writing out your path before you get there and then have to start. Yeah, that would probably be my best advice.
That's great. Thank you so much. This has been lovely. If
Yeah.
a woman wants to reach out to you, what's the best way?
Well, the best way would be to check out our website, www.sweetleilani.com. I might just add, if I can, because I'm a formulator and specialize in clean ingredients, I'm always trying to get women to make the switch. I want them to clean out their beauty bag because they have no idea that there's probably 5 harmful, toxic ingredients that is harming them daily. So I'm going to give you a code, plant powered, for 40% off to try a foundation or a powder to just make the switch. Take that first step.
Yes, it's wonderful. And I will say, I personally do use some of your cosmetics and they are amazing. So definitely go take advantage of that because it's really good. It's
Thank
fantastic.
you.
You're welcome. Thank you so, so much. Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. If you feel that this episode will help another woman, please share it. Until next time.